And you find a listing, you refer it out. You call, you find a buyer, you refer it out. I bet you can make another 40, 50 grand
Just
through the school year.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I wish someone told me this when I was in college, because I definitely would have started a lot earlier. I would have made a lot of money earlier in my career, because it wasn't until I read the books and I did all the research that I found it, okay, this is actually a very simple game of just, breaking it down into small bite-sized tasks.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 7-Figure Real Estate Show, episode 5. You're here with Nick Dambry and my co-host Jack. And today we want to dive into how to make money in real estate while you're in college.
Yeah, this episode is really going to be geared towards college kids coming home from the summer and how they can get their start in real estate, whether that's buying their first investment property or becoming an agent. We're really going to break this down from a number standpoint, what you have to do day in and day out, breaking it down to small bite-sized tasks to make $20,000, $30,000 this summer with zero real estate experience. So I'm really excited for this episode. With that said, let's get right into it. All right, so I'm in my 20s. I'm 20 years old. I'm coming home from college. I got maybe $10,000 in the bank. My credit's like a 690. Maybe mom and dad will give me a bit of money. How do I get my hands on my first investment property?
It's a great question and something that all college students should be doing. And actually what I'm going to say is I'm going to one-up it. And what you should be doing, you should be buying that house or investment property in the town that you're going to college in. Okay. And that kind of dovetails back into the episode that we just had, episode 3, I think it was, where we spoke to the person that is investing specifically in college real estate, housing for students. And what you're going to do is you're going to do that. So you're going to buy your first home with 3.5% down on an FHA loan. That's going to be about a $300,000 house, which is about $10,000 in cash. You're going to need to borrow a little bit from mom and dad, but not much, maybe another $3,000 or $4,000. And it's going to allow you to buy a $300,000 house. Let's just say you buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. You live in 1 bedroom, you rent the other 2 bedrooms out to your friends at around $1,000 a piece.
And your mortgage is going to be around $2,000 a month.
Not even.
Current interest rates. Okay, so you're able to put around $10,000 to $11,000 down in this property.
Correct.
Probably another $2,000 in closing costs.
Exactly.
You have this 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom in your college town. You're able to rent out the other two bedrooms, which are paying off the mortgage because
Correct.
You're able to have this premium rent because you're in a college town, and maybe you already have a buddy, a network
Correct.
that you can rent out to.
Yeah. Once you graduate with college, you've now got an asset that's appreciated in value, and then when you move on, you can either sell it or turn it into an investment property. And if you turn it into an investment property, now you open up a whole new realm of tax benefits, which is depreciation.
So I feel like it's a common trend on TikTok and real estate Instagram, where you just hear, 3.5% down, $10,000, buy a house. You just said it. It's very simple. But what are some other things inside of that, simplicity of buying your first investment property that most people don't know about, or that's actually really is just as plain as it sounds, 3.5% down, FHA loan, owner occupied, $10,000, $300,000 house.
A couple things you need to do first, right? You need to find trusted advisors. So you need to find a good real estate agent and a good loan officer. That's really where you need to start, because those people are going to guide you through the experience of buying your first property. And it's overcoming that fear, because it is a big deal. 18, 19 years old, you're buying an asset that's a couple $100,000, $300,000, that's a big deal. Mm-hmm. So, your first step is to find trusted advisors, loan officers, real estate agents, and then go look at assets in your asset class. So deciding what kind of asset class you want to invest in. The reason I bring up student housing is because you are a built-in lead source for tenants.
Yeah.
Nonstop. It's like Billy's got to move out, then you got Joe moving in. It's just it's very simple transition to be able to do that, and then you're off campus, and
so it's as simple as Googling mortgage brokers in my area, and then real estate agents in this area.
Sure. But if you're in the state of Maine, you call us and we'll help you.
Yeah, true that.
But also it doesn't matter where you are. If you're anywhere in the country, call us, we'll help you find those trusted advisors. That's really simple. 100%. And we have a network across the country.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, you get connected with these people. Do you think it's value to figure out the money? Because this is a big misconception that people think that they need to have the money in their bank account before they even go out buying. But what I found is you could actually put together the deal first. And then once you have this deal, you have, the comps, you have the income analysis, say, hey, this is the cap rate. It makes a lot more sense to then go pitch that to mom and dad or a trusted friend, right, or, rich uncle or rich dad's friend, whatever, and say, hey, this is the cap rate. this is what the return is. I have this entire deal lined up. Just, all I need is the money now. Instead of saying, hey, can I have $10,000? I want to buy a house.
Right.
Well,
it's as my stepfather used to say to me, is like, Nick, don't bring me the problem, bring me the solution.
Yeah.
Right. So if you go to mom and dad with the solution all laid out, like, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to pay for it. This is how you're going to make money. Yep. Because now, geez, if mom and dad buy the house with you, then they get to depreciate the asset because it's now an investment property for them.
True that. Yeah. All right. So depreciation. We hear it all the time in real estate, but I don't think a lot of people actually understand how powerful it is. So explain to me, and let's break this down on a number scenario, is like, if you were making $40,000 a year, how you could pay $0 in taxes with depreciation. So what is it? Break it down.
Sure. So depreciation is a tax code, United States tax code benefit that you as a real estate investment owner get to take advantage of. So you get to depreciate the asset over 27 and a half years. Now, there's other things that we can talk about, cost basis depreciation, but we're not going to get into that. Let's just leave it real simple. Let's say you buy $1 million property and half of it, $500,000, is in the land. You can't depreciate land because land isn't going to go anywhere. What the tax code is saying is that the useful life of that building is 27 and a half years. We all know that there's more than 27 and a half years in useful life of a property, but that's just what the tax code comes up with. So you take that $500,000 and you divide that by 27 and a half years. You get to take roughly an $18,000 depreciation on your income earned that year for the next 27 and a half years.
Okay.
That's the simplest way to look at depreciation. Now, you can get into cost basis depreciation, but you have to do a cost basis analysis. Now, that's kind of like that's second level depreciation discussion. You really should be talking to your trusted advisor, your trusted accountant to help you with depreciation, because there's a lot of little nuances to it.
Exactly. But I think kind of like what we were hitting on is that, not paying money on taxes is like money in your pocket.
100%.
If you're making $50,000 a year and you have a $20,000 depreciation, whatever the percentage of the $50,000, you're saving several $1,000s just from the depreciation. So that's money in your pocket.
Yeah. That's so you think about the whatever tax bracket you're in, and if you're in a 30% tax bracket and you save $20,000, 30% of 20 grand is $6,000, $6,000 saved in a tax bill. And
now you have an investment property that you're generating cash flow on.
Correct.
And it's a, asset that's building value in your sleep.
Yeah. So you're depreciating the asset at the same time that's appreciating.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Isn't that funny how real? So why do they have these codes that seem so, you had a good analogy. It's like the government is kind of like leading you to like where they want you to invest your money.
Correct. So you got to change the paradigm shift on taxes, right? Yes, we all should be paying our taxes. We all should be paying our fair share to help with roads, help with public transportation, things along those lines. So, so we can all live in this society. But what the government is saying with the tax code is we want you to invest in this avenue. So in real estate, the government wants you to provide housing. They want you to provide housing for its citizens. So they're going to make that very beneficial for people that invest in real estate. So that's why the tax code is very beneficial to people that invest in real estate.
Mm-hmm. Which makes it a whole lot easier for, someone who's 18, 20 years old to get their hands on the money with the 3.5% down and being, depreciating these assets, because the government has streamlined this investment vehicle, which meanwhile, you have other avenues of investing, which are very, very hard. Yeah. While real estate is just very clean cut. And all you really need to start out as far as a team is a real estate agent and a mortgage broker.
Correct.
To give you money. And then I guarantee you, these people are going to have connections with contractors, right? Real estate attorneys for drafting a lease. Or nowadays you can just ask ChatGPT to draft you a lease.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
We want to be the hub. So we want to be the place that you call. What I like to say is, you have an attorney, you have an accountant, you have a doctor. We want to be your realtor. We want anything to do with your real estate asset, we want to give you a call. As simple as, hey, Nick, who can I get to mow my lawn? So like finding that person in your area is really key. Yeah.
So real quick, I'm going to say, if you're in your 20s or you're back from college or even maybe just out of college and want to get your hands on a piece of real estate, call us. Nick, what's the number?
207-553-2400.
And if you're not in Maine, you're not in our area, it doesn't matter. We have connections all over the U.S. We're going to connect you with someone who can get you started on your investment to real estate, whether that's an agent and a mortgage broker, so you guys can start that journey, because trust me, it's a lot easier than you think.
Yeah. All I can say is that the sooner it's the same as, in the investment world, right? The sooner you start investing, it's compounded interest, man. The sooner you start, the more money you're going to make later in life. And it's really that simple. And if you were to start with an FHA loan, you can do a single family, a 2-unit, 3-unit, up to a 4-unit. Personally, I'd look at a 4-unit because once you move out of that place, you have the FHA loan on that property. You're now renting that 4th unit. Now you have 4 units generating income for you. It's very hard to go from a single family in the lending world. It's very hard to go from a single family to a multifamily. It's easy to go from a multifamily to a single family.
Why is that?
The banks look at you and be like, well, this is not going to be your primary residence. So like if you have a single family home and they're like, well, you already have a single family home. Now you can do it if you're moving to a different community, you're moving to a different location. But if you want to buy the multi-unit that's right next door, it's going to be a very challenging discussion to have with a lender.
Hey, what is up? I hope you guys are enjoying today's episode and we are opening your eyes as far as the realm of real estate. Now, if you are getting any value out of this, I ask that you simply follow the podcast on whatever streaming platform you're on. It's just, it's normally at the top of the screen. Just scroll up. It takes you like 5 seconds to press. YouTube, like if you're on TikTok, wherever you are, please engage with this because we're trying to make this as big as possible. We want to be the biggest real estate podcast. So your engagement is how this thing grows. So with that said, if you could please help us out, we would greatly appreciate it. And maybe one day you can come on the show because you'll be such a successful real estate professional. We actually partnered with the CE Shop to get you guys licensed. Now, as we grow this thing, the goal is to give you guys our systems for free so you can make as much money as possible your first year in real estate. So with that said, we partner with the CE Shop. Make sure to click the link in the description and get your license today. With that said, let's get right back into the episode. All right, so before we wrap up this real estate investing, getting your hands on your first property at a young age, what are, let's just say 3 essential steps that you have to take as far as the ROI that you're looking for, due diligence to making sure you're not putting yourself at risk and going to go bankrupt, and just, general things that people may not think of.
When you decide to invest in real estate, your returns are your returns. What you choose to, what your goals are is something that you set. I have my own goals. You'll have your own goals.
What should I set? If I'm 20, coming out of college, I want to buy investment property this year. What type of, cash on cash return, ROI, cap rate should I be looking for? However you want to put it, whatever best metric you think.
Okay, so I always look at cash on cash return.
Okay,
but that's what I want to know. I'm going to invest $10,000. I'm going to make I'm going to make $1,000, and I'm getting a 10% return on that money. So I want to know that. But for somebody who's buying, the scenario that we just mapped out, okay, you're going to be buying an asset that you're going to be renting out to your friends. Personally, what I would be looking for is a place that I can live rent free, right? So I'm going to be buying a 3-bedroom house. I'll be renting out 2 other bedrooms. I'm living rent free. I'm maybe making a little bit money, however that looks like, because then when you move out, you can rent that bedroom and now you're actually making money.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, it depends on where you are in your investment world and how you want to change things. You come from a finance background and investing in stocks and bonds, and you're like, okay, I want this kind of return.
Yep.
Right. So I'm sure at the beginning of your career or path, you were like, this is the kind of return I want to make. And then later on, you're like, okay, I've learned all of these steps, I've done all this, and this is now the kind of return that I want to make. So I think it's a linear projection. It's not just stagnant. So this is what I want to make, this is what I want to make, this one. So everything has a different way of looking at that investment.
Okay. So obviously taking out a $500,000 mortgage is not the safest thing anyone can do financially. How do you prevent yourself from, that worst case scenario of going bankrupt or, not being able to pay off the debt?
Yeah. Overcoming that fear, because what you have to remember is you always have that house, and that house always has that value. It always has value. Will the value go down? Yes. Will the value go down? Yes. Will the value always go up? Yes. Historically in the country, like in Maine, we've never had a period where we have not had a 5% return or increase in real estate value, at least.
Yep.
You want to buy the asset correctly, and that's where your realtor comes in. This is a good value. This is a good location. This is an up and coming location, things along those lines that they'll know the areas. They'll know specific things about that area. That's really where that trusted advisor comes into play. But if you do get yourself in trouble, always remember, yes, you took out a $500,000 loan. The house is going to cover a percentage of that, or a portion of it, all of it, whatever it may be. But don't ever forget that you have that asset to sell and pay the debt off. But if you buy it right, and buy it in the right location.
So
the money's made in the
So the best advice you can give someone to buying a property right is finding a good agent.
Correct.
And finding a good mortgage lender.
Correct.
People are going to have your best interest, know your risk, and not, kind of sway you into making a poor decision, making, overextending yourself, because it's totally possible. Like, it's a risk that not a lot of people talk about, but we have to be diligent of, as, I don't want to go bankrupt. That would suck.
Yeah.
And
starting all over.
And that's the biggest fear that people have with investing in real estate is taking out $500,000 in debt. That's a big number to have to pay back.
But I also would say is don't be afraid of starting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, don't be afraid of starting because of I may go bankrupt. Mm-hmm. At 20 years old, you go bankrupt. Okay, you start over. I mean, it's not the end of the world. Mm-hmm. You start over, you do it again, you do something different. You get another chunk of money. You buy another property. And I learned from that. Don't do that again.
Yeah.
And I'm not advising that you go bankrupt by any means. You want to, but if you have the trusted advisors in your back pocket, they're going to help minimize that risk. Is there always never risk?
There's
No.
risk for everything. There's risk you go to college and you don't get a job and now you have student debt. There's risk that you are into skiing and you crash and you break your leg. It's just kind of assessing that risk, and what is the reward? And the reward in buying real estate when you're, still in college, 20 years old, is that financial freedom by the time you're, 30 years old. So is that reward worth it to you? Think about that.
Yeah. The reward is definitely worth starting young. Because that 30-year mortgage, if you go out a full scale at 20 years old, you'll have a paid for asset by the time you're 50.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And if you buy one a year, you don't need a lot of money to retire rich in the real estate world. Okay. Let's just say you buy $5 million of assets and you do that from the time you're 20 to the time you're 25 and you never buy another piece of asset. Mm-hmm. By the time you're 55, you'll have all of those properties paid for, and they'll all be generating you income because they're now your investments and they're paying you cash. All of them will be paid for, so you have no debt payments, and all you'll have is taxes, insurance, and maintenance. Mm-hmm. So at 55 years old, you'll have $5 million of assets paying you, let's just say 10% a year, which will be more because they'll be paid for.
Yeah.
It'd be over $500,000 a year. You're not even getting out of bed.
All right, so I'm a college student, summer starting. I want to find a job that's going to be fun, make me as much money as possible, so I have money when I go back to college. Do you think it's possible to start get your real estate license as soon, as quick as you can, let's say 2 to 3 weeks, and then make $30,000 this summer with 0 years of real estate experience as an agent?
100%.
Okay. Break that down into numbers for me, because what I've learned from being involved in real estate, that it's simply, there's no magic sauce. It's simply a numbers game.
It's 100% a numbers game, and it's all in lead generation. Okay. So what it comes down to is how many contacts you want to make or sit with on a daily basis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to map out what a millionaire real estate agent will have to do on an annual basis to make money. And then you can just use the math to go from there. If a real estate agent wants to make $1 million net, stick in their pocket, go to Vegas, whatever, $1 million in their pocket, they're going to need to do 25 listing appointments monthly and 25 buyer appointments monthly.
Okay, so that is simply a meeting, a 30-minute meeting that you meet with someone who's interested in selling their house, or you meet with someone who wants to buy a house.
Correct. Okay. So that's 4 appointments a day.
4 appointments a day. All right, so next.
Okay. On the listing side, let's just run down the listing side once, and then we'll deal with the buyer side. On the listing side, you have an 80% conversion rate. That means you're taking 20 listings a day. 20 listings a month. Out of those 20 listings, you're selling 65% of them. That means you're selling 13 of them a month.
Okay.
Okay. With an average sales price of $250 in our market, and it's not an average sales price of $250. Our average sales price is more like $500 to $600. Mm-hmm. So your number of appointments can go way down. If you're doubling your average sale price, then you cut your appointments in half.
Yeah. So if you're coming home from summer and you live on Long Island, you live in, Charlotte, North Carolina, whatever, maybe a higher class demographic,
right?
Just decrease these numbers because your ticket price is a lot higher. So,
well, it's what do I want to focus on?
Yeah.
If I'm going to go sell $1 million property and make $30,000,
you sell one property.
You sell one property.
Yeah.
Do I think you can do that in 2 months? Yes, without a doubt.
Yeah. Now let's break these. This is called the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Let's break this down into $30,000 college student summer. So if so $1 million is $100,000
Yeah,
a
so
month.
let's do a reasonable price point of $300,000
Yep.
for a college student. They're going to need to sell 4 homes in 3 months,
To make $30,000.
more than $30,000.
Let's say you know nobody. You have 0 connections.
Sure.
You don't have a mom and dad. You live by your own. No one knows who you are. How can you build? How many people do you have to get in contact with, whether that's advertising, knocking on doors, or cold calling?
Sure. You need to talk to 100 people and ask them this question. Would you like to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the next 3 months?
You only have to talk to 100 people to make $30,000.
No. You need to talk to 100 people per deal.
Per deal. Okay, so that's
If you want to do 4 deals, you need to talk to 400 people.
okay. So do you think you could talk to 400 people this summer and lock down 4 deals? You probably talked to 400 people in your last semester.
Right. Well, the easiest way I don't know 400 people. What I would say is I challenge you to go to your iPhone and scroll all the way to the bottom, and you'll see how many contacts you have on your phone.
Yeah, call every single one.
You can call every single one. So, short answer is you're studying for your exam. You're calling. You're starting to call people.
Yep.
Hey, Jane, Joe, I'm getting my real estate license. I should be licensed in the next 3 months. Would you know anybody that's going to be buying or selling or wanting to invest in real estate in the next 30 days? Oh, you don't? Would you know anybody at church or at work or anything like that? Does that ring anybody bells? No, I don't. Sorry. Okay, then you go to the next person. You have 400 of those calls in the next month. So it's 100 calls a week. You only want to work 5 days. So that's 20 calls a day. You got to make 20 phone calls a day and talk to real people. And now you don't need to do phone calls. You can go door knocking. You can go out and shake hands. You could go sit in the grocery store and talk to people.
Yeah.
So where it's wherever you feel comfortable.
And I had this creative marketing idea. Nick, I'm like, I really want to hear your perspective on it. And I was reading this real estate book, and it talked about how real estate agents' signs in people's lawn is one of the biggest. It's like a billboard, and it's an advertisement. People see the house. Oh, this person's selling this house.
Right.
I'm going to call this person. I want to buy a house. What you can do, go to your friend's parents, make a real estate sign, and just have it doesn't have to say, I'm not even sure if this is legal. This is just an idea I had driving the car. Go to your parents' friend's house who might be on Main Street and say, hey, can I just put my real estate sign? It doesn't have to say for sale. I just want to have my real estate number and just my logo on it. And that's it. And people are going to just see that sign.
It's interesting. I don't know if that would
Have
actually.
you ever heard of that?
I haven't, but I think you can't unless it's actually listed, but I'm not sure.
It doesn't,
but if
it doesn't have to
for sale, it'd be interesting.
It just says blah, 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 realty,
Yeah.
603,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, I obviously I would check with your community if you can and can't do that, but that's a great idea.
Yeah, just put a real estate sign in mom's lawn. But it's just like, it seems, what I love about this job is we can really just break it down into simple numbers.
Right.
You have to call 400 people this summer. Do you think open up a phone book and call 4? Obviously, you have to check the do not call registry.
Do not call
Do your
registry.
due diligence, but just call. Just that's how many. Let's say there's 90 days in a summer. You have to call, 10, 20. Let's say 20 people a day. That's 600 people all in 90 days.
Right.
Do you think you can call 20 people a day? You probably talk to 10 people a day on a normal day.
Right.
So, and then if you do have mom and dad's friends, you do have, you grew up in this community your whole life. Think about your network in that community.
Right.
If you got your real estate agent license, you can make $30,000 this summer doing something that's like fun, outgoing, networking, not working at a restaurant,
Right.
not, working behind a desk. Like, this is one of the best careers as far as being out there, making new connections, and using creativity every single day.
And if you're into sales, you can sell everything, right? The people that sell cars, they make a commission. People that sell jewelry, they make a commission. You sell real estate, you make a commission. The higher the ticket item, the more money you're going to make on that commission.
Yep.
Right? So focus on the high ticket items. And what I also would say is, especially if you're like a freshman in college and you're just coming home from the first semester and you still have all of those friends that are your senior year, that's still at your high school.
Yeah.
So having a baby is the number one reason people buy or sell real estate.
Yeah.
The second reason is because all of their kids left or going to college.
So many parents that I've talked to have said, once my kids are gone, I'm out of here.
I'm right. I'm downsizing.
I'm selling my house. Yeah.
So if you think about all of the parents that you graduated with, and you think about all of the parents that are going to be the kids are going to be graduating, you probably have those 400 people in just those 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? So if you focused on just that community, just those 2 years, you would definitely find 4 homes that need to be sold.
And not even that, one of the biggest things. So let's say, You're 19, you're coming home as a freshman from college, you're 20, whatever. You do this, you make your $30,000. You've touched, 400 people in your community. People are you're gonna be at college. People are gonna be calling you, saying, "Hey, I want to buy a house. I want to list my house." You can refer that person to this is the big, and I literally just did this. I had a client who was an hour away. I didn't want to work with them. I mean, I did, but it didn't make sense for me logistically. So I called a realtor that I knew in the area and said, "Hey, do you want this client?" "Yes, I do." "Okay, if I, sell them a home, that'll be a 25% commission check in my pocket." Then I literally did nothing. So
think about this. This is actually really interesting too, right? So on that whole same line, right? So you get your real estate license this summer, you do that, you sell your 4 homes, and then you go back to your college in, I don't know, Florida.
yeah,
Right? And every day, or not every day, but you say, just Friday, I'm going to set aside 2 hours a day to lead generate in Maine.
yep,
And you call, you find a listing, you refer it out. You call, you find a buyer, you refer it out. I bet you can make another 40, 50 grand
just
through the school year.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, I wish someone told me this when I was in college, because I definitely would have started a lot earlier. I would have made a lot of money earlier in my career, because it wasn't until I read the books and I did all the research that I found it, okay, this is actually a very simple game of just, breaking it down into small bite-sized tasks. And what I encourage you guys to do, if you're going to pursue this, make $30,000 this summer, as a real estate agent, it's just every single day have this is how many people I got to call.
Right.
This is how many doors I got to knock on. And listen to our other episodes, because we talk about other ways to generate leads and reach out to people, whether that's networking events, going to, restaurants in your area, getting a golfing membership. And every time you go, simply put, if you go golfing, every day in the summer, you can touch 3 people at the golf course a day, whether it's at the driving range, the clubhouse,
Right.
the foursome you go out with. It's a lot easier than you think to do this. And we're here to kind of lead your, hold your hand.
Right. Don't be afraid to ask for business.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Like, for example, this guy that I referred out, when I was on the phone call with him, I said, "Hey, let's just call him Joe for confidentiality." And this is how the phone call went. I said, "Hey, Joe, I really wish I could service you. However, I'm not super familiar with your area of Maine. I'm more familiar with my area. I really want to make sure that we can get you the house you want the fastest at the best price. So I'm going to refer you to my friend, another client confidentiality named Jeff." Joe, refer you to Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff is fantastic. He's worked with a bunch of clients down there. He's, gotten all these people I know the best price for the house they want.
Right.
So I'm going to give you to him. He's fantastic, and he'll definitely give you the best service possible for real estate. And the Jeff calls me the other day. "Hey, thank you. Joe is now my client, and we're looking at houses." So it really is that simple, and it's one way that you can passively generate income while in college and make a butt ton of money this summer.
Yeah, very easy. Here's just some great ideas that you can build off of. You can do open houses, so you can hold open houses for agents that don't have time to do open houses. You can do client parties. You can do networking events. You can do seminars. You can do booth events, teaching, speaking opportunities. All of these things that you can do to generate these leads and get in front of people. Obviously the higher ticket items would be newspaper ads. I'm trying to lay out things that are free, just require your time. So those are just really some great areas to look at.
Yeah. What's crazy to me is I think about how much money I made, my first summer. I was probably like a sophomore in high school working. I made like $4,000 that summer. But to think that, it's kind of like this high value return task that if you invest your time into real estate, you might not make money for the first 2 months of the summer, but that last month, close 4 deals and make $30,000. And that one house that you sold.
Yeah.
And all in all, how many hours goes into a listing from the consultation to the closing, and how many hours goes into a buyer closing from the initial appointment to the closing?
It really depends.
Of your time.
It really depends. I mean, but if I was to say on average, you're probably on a listing side, you're probably spending 10 to 15 hours just getting it up and ready because you're not out showing the property. And then a buyer, you're spending hours and hours with that buyer because you're taking them out and you're showing them stuff.
Okay.
So that just takes a lot more time. So I just don't know if that's a great gauge. But really what you should be focusing on, it doesn't matter how much time you're spending with a listing agent and whether you're spending with a buyer agent, really what you should be focusing on is lead generation. So, if you lead generate, you're going to do a ton of business. Yeah. So if you have no business, I'm just telling you, okay, you lead generate 2 hours a day, lead generate 8 hours a day. Why not?
Yeah.
You could do 400 phone calls, in an 8-hour period.
You could do 800 phone calls this summer and make $60,000. Like the 30,000 is not the limit. This is just like a very. I was talking to Nick before this. We making some notes together, and we're like, okay, what's a feasible number for someone to make? That's a feasible number. That's not crazy to make. And $30,000 to you listening to this might sound like a lot this summer, but if you put in the work and you just simply call this many people, and that's just an average. You might if you have a good connection to your community, you might be closing double the percentage of what we're basing our metrics off. So you might actually close 8 and make 60,000 with the same amount of hours, and then you do whatever. It really is scalable, and it's just a time thing. And
yeah, I think honestly, I think you could make $30,000 just waking up.
Really,
yeah.
And and then pair that with the Get Connect. Now you're your own real estate agent. You have access to the MLS. Get connection with a broker in the area. You can buy your first investment property and make $30,000 selling real estate. Roll that money over into more real estate. It's like you could literally change your life this summer if you want to take action. So with that said, we're coming up on the end of the episode. Nick, what's the number one more time if people want to get started?
207-553-2400.
Yeah, we want to help you guys change your lives. Real estate changed mine. So with that said, that's the end of the episode. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Great.
Peace.
Peace out.